Hey everyone, and welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you. Please, by all means, pull up a chair, get out your books, and join us at the table. Uh, Introductions first, starting with my man, Michael Powell. Who are you, and where can we find you?
I'm Michael Powell, and you can find me on my socials, which are at Mr. Kapow. That's Mrkapao. And how about you, PJ?
Well, as you know, my name is PJ. You can find me everywhere at pj.mcgaw. And you can also find me here at Nat20 Productions Official on Wednesday nights for Edge of Legend. Without further ado, what are we talking about today, Michael?
Well, elementary, my dear PJ. We're talking about the Investigator class.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about the Investigator class from Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide. Came out just recently, and this is a very unique and very interesting class entirely made by Paizo. So sit down and join us at the table as we go into a deep dive on the amazing potential of this class. Today we're going to take a deep dive into this very unique class because, as some of you may or may not know, our friend over here, Mr. Michael Powell, plays an investigator in the show Edge of Legend. So who better to discuss this cool new class and what it can do and the crazy things it's capable of is the man, the myth, the investigator himself, Rufa of Grazie.
Yes. I'm really excited about this one, and give me one moment.
Everything
Yeah,
okay?
I'm really excited because I played Rufa on Edge of Legend, and yeah, the only thing is I played the the playtest version of the Investigator. This is the finalized version of Pathfinder, which actually it's really different from the playtest.
Yeah, and that's actually something that's also very important. See, in the show, we just turned level 2, and a lot of our materials up to this point have been either the official core rulebook materials or the playtest from like a year ago. So now we get to step in and see what like the full scope is. So now we're going to tell you the official brand spanking new abilities that the investigators get. And let's just start off with the basic building blocks of this class, shall we? Michael, how about you kick it off since you're the man, the myth, the legend, running this class on our show?
All right. As we said, we are talking about the Investigator, and I just put up a graphic. That's the Pathfinder Iconics Pathfinder named Quinn in their world. There we go. Investigator. And yeah, let me see. I'm just gonna read out the little description they have here. You seek to uncover the truth. Doggedly pursuing leads to reveal the plots of devious villains, discover ancient secrets, or uncover other mysteries. Your analytical mind quickly formulates situations to complicated problems, and your honed senses identify even the most obscure clues. Wielding knowledge as a weapon, you study the creatures and dangers you encounter to exploit their weakness.
That's right. And now, if you're wondering about the fun crunchy crunchies, your key ability is your intelligence, as this character is all about their smarts.
Mm-hmm.
As our wonderful friend here kind of strutted earlier with his pipe and shirt, this class is going to be more or less your Sherlock Holmes. Now, that's not to say they can only be Sherlock Holmes, but
You could be
there's a
Hercule
lot there.
Poirot, or you could be Inspector Zenigata from Lupin.
Yeah, I love Lupin the Third. This is how much of a trash weeb I am. I only like the American dub, but that's just me. Don't get me wrong, the classic is brilliant, but it's just better to hear these horrible, horrible jokes that they have.
But I do want to say this about Investigator, though.
Sure.
Um, the Investigator, in my opinion, they're kind of like the GM's best friend when it comes to moving along the plot. I want to say they're basically. I want to say. Let's see. I have notes. Pretty much, if you want to be the smartest person in the room, or at least at the table, you kind of want to play the Investigator. Let's see. the best way for me to describe this character class is it's kind of like, you know, those old school make your own adventure books. You remember that, PJ?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Oh,
you
I used to
choose the
cheat on
outcome.
those. I cheat on those so much. I would go forward and I would read it and go, no, that's not the good one. And I go to the other one and go, yeah, I do this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, exactly how you described it. That's what the investigator is. The investigator is the guy who skips to the endings and figures out and basically reads backwards, see how to get from that ending, the good ending, to the beginning.
Yeah, there's gonna be some stuff later we're gonna talk about, which basically the investigator is a walking I win button. You may
Mhm.
not be pumping out all the damage, you may not have all the magic, you may have none of those, but what you have is a big fat red I win button.
Mhm.
So moving right along. So your key ability is intelligence, and this will also give you a free boost at character creation to make sure your intelligence is up to snuff. You also get 8 hit points plus Constitution modifier. So this is great because this puts you kind of in that middle class of health. You're going to be hardier than like the wizard, but you're going to be right up there with like the cleric and the rogue. But you're certainly going to be squishier than the paladin, the fighter, and the ranger. And of course, no one is as beefy as a barbarian. But that's for a different story.
I kind of want to say a lot of these advanced player guide classes, the 4 new ones, they're kind of a combination of the original core classes that they released in the core rules. And in my humble opinion, the investigator is a combination of rogue and bard.
Interesting. You know what? Let's do what we did a couple of games ago. Let's have this kind of not meta competition, but a meta debate here. So you think Rogue and Bard, and I can definitely see that. I'm going to posit a combination of Rogue and Alchemist, maybe depending on the build, but I think where there's a potential for that. So your initial I need more coffee. Your initial proficiencies at first level. You are untrained in anything not listed unless you gain a better proficiency in a rank in some other way. You are an expert in perception, one of the few classes that starts off as an expert in this skill. This skill, by the way, that is so vital to role-playing.
Oh yeah, as you could tell by Rufa's shenanigans on Edge of Legend.
Absolutely. Not to mention perception is going to become a massive aspect of this character build.
Oh yeah.
And also like it's the go-to stat for initiative in 2nd edition, so it's everything.
Yeah, one of the investigator's capstone feats. I think it's a feat. I forgot if it's a feat or the ability. We're gonna get to that, but basically, it relies on their perception, and that perception is eventually going to become legendary. Which is
I love legendary.
The highest the high.
And also doing a quick shout out, but also doing it in text. Alanufilled, it is awesome to see you in chat. Also, Mr. Mehara, awesome to see you in chat as well. And Pengu-chan and Reap Psyche and Sydney of Hightower. It's just so awesome to have all y'all here today.
Yeah.
So moving right along, the saving throws. You're trained in fortitude, expert in reflex, and expert in will. Also, a rare combination. So it's reinforcing the fact that maybe you're not good at like taking massive like blows, but you're really good at resisting magic. Expert at first level against magic is so delicious.
Yeah, and the fact that you're also have a expert in reflex, I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the same as a rogue, right?
Yeah, I believe that's the same as a rogue. I would think the expert in will may also be like the same as a, you know, let me double, no, it's a different book. I think it's the same as an alchemist, but I got the cold stuff and it's just not hitting me right. So now let's talk about these skills that they start trained in. Michael, please lead us down the skill path.
Oh, okay. The skills they are trained are trained in society, trained in one or more skills determined by your methodology, and also trained in a number of additional skills equal to 4 plus your intelligence modifier, which is actually really, really good.
Yeah, so you are now. Here's the thing: intelligence for this character has to be very high because
Hmm.
that's what their shtick is
Like a
based off.
wizard, like a wizard.
Like a wizard. So let's just assume for a hot minute that you have the maximum starting modifier. So you have an 18 intelligence. You have a +4 to your intelligence. You are starting off with perception as an expert, society, one more skill determined by your methodology, and then 8. That's 8 more skills. That is 11 skills. That's 11. At level 1, you're
Yeah.
walking in
And
with 11 trained proficiencies.
and
I'm
that's
sorry,
not
10
including
trained
if you
proficiencies.
take certain feats,
Oh my god,
like
yeah.
feats
Oh,
that actually give you extra skills.
we're not even including your background, which
Yeah.
could also give you 1 to 2 skill proficiencies at the beginning.
Yeah, you basically become, yeah, you're like, once again, you're like a rogue and a bard. You're a skill monkey.
I want to say Pathfinder Second Edition has really streamed down the amount of skills that you can get. I want to say I think they have a maximum of like 13 or 15 skills. You're going to walk in with almost 13, 14 skill proficiencies. You're almost proficient, or at least trained proficient in every skill in the game. So that's just dumb. I love it. That is
Yeah,
beautifully dumb.
yeah. Like I
Uh,
said, once again, kind of harkening back to Edge of Legends. Rufa is he's pretty much the face of. I would say he's the face of the party, right?
oh, definitely. I mean, you have a gnome who hates society, an elf who knows of society and hates society, and a half elf who's doing her best. I think you're the face, if not in stats, then you are by default.
Yeah, and usually the face of the party is the skill, like the person who's most trained in the most wide variety of skills. So, investigator, honestly, is the best choice to go if you want to play a character kind of like Rufa.
Yeah, absolutely. Now here's what's cool. So you think for having trained in fortitude and having no bonuses to strength or dex that they wouldn't be good fighters. Not entirely true. They are trained in simple martial and unarmed attacks. They're
Mhm.
basically trained in every melee non-ranged weapon. So
That's
they're
actually a
they're good to
lot.
go.
That's actually a lot of different weapons.
Yeah. Now, granted, they're still a little lay squish, and you can tell from their defenses. They're trained in light armor and unarmored defense, which is probably a good thing because the heavier your armor gets, the more mobility you sacrifice. This class is probably going to want to have all 25, 30 feet of movement so it can get in and out of combat and run away when things are looking bad and there's a case to be solved another day.
Yeah, as you could always tell, Rufa always going, "I'm on the case."
Exactly. You can't be on the case if you're too slow.
Exactly. The next one is the class DC, which is fairly obvious. Trained in investigator class DC.
Yes, and that's going to be your bread and butter, and we'll get
Mhm.
into that later. So now we've given you the basic page 1 stuff, and now it's time to get into the meatier things. So, of course, just like every class, at first level, you get your ancestry and background, and you get your initial proficiencies, already mentioned.
Mhm.
But then, I think Mr. the man himself needs to tell us, you get on the case and a bunch of really cool things that on the case does. This is going to become your niche core building material for what the investigator can do that no one else can do. So, Mr. Michael Powell, tell us about on the case, pursue a lead, and clue in.
All right. On the case, it's read as an investigator, you think of your adventures as cases waiting to be solved. You gain one activity and one reaction you can use to investigate cases. When it comes to your abilities, pursue the lead and clue in. With let's see, with pursued a lead. Wait a second. Yeah, pursue a lead. You spend it's a concentrate, exploration, and investigator ability that you could use once per 10 minutes. You spend 1 minute examining the details of a potential clue, designating the subject related to the clue as the target of your active investigation. The subject is typically a single creature, item, or small location, such as a room or corridor. but the GM might allow different scope for your investigation. You don't need to know the identity, purpose, or nature of the subject, but you do need to be aware of its existence. For instance, finding a footprint is enough to investigate the creature that left it. Seeing a hasty sketch of an item or location can be enough to start your investigation of that subject. Whenever you attempt a perception or skill check to investigate a designated subject, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to the check. Your exact checks this applies to depend on the actions you use to investigate and are determined by the GM. But checks to investigate are typically perception checks or skill check that uses intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. You can maintain 2 active investigations at a time. If you pursue another lead after that, the subject must be different from any of your current investigations, or rather they must be different as far as you know, and you give up on a current subject of your choice. Once you've given up the pursuit of a subject, you can't pursue the lead again until the next time you make your daily preparations. Once again, as I said earlier, this class kind of depends on your relationship with your GM, so you better hope you're good friends with your GM. Right,
Yeah.
PJ? We're good friends, right?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't let you take this class if we weren't good friends, because this is a lot. Now, that is to say, there's a lot of writing here, and what this loosely translates into is that you tell the DM you tell the GM. GM's different. You tell the GM that you're activating this ability, and this is why there's so much writing about it, because what this ability gives you is a +1 to all checks in an area while you're doing things. So imagine you're a rogue, you're walking through the street, you decide to flip a switch, and all of a sudden you're +1 better to almost everything you're going to be doing in this scene, in this environment. It's crazy broken because it's natural. There's no effort to it. And what's also important here is that this helps you find clues, hooks, plot holes, plot points. This is massive, and this class is usually reserved for doing things like this is going to be a mystery game. This is going to be a murder solving game. This is going to be like boots on the ground hunting kind of for like clues and the bad guy and the evil cult. This would go great in like a Call of Cthulhu style Pathfinder game, which they had in the first edition. They're probably going to do in the second edition.
Like I said before, when we said that you kind of get a peek at the GM's notes. This is one of those abilities in the class that lets you kind of give a peek, because the GM kind of has to tell you, well, at least if they're playing it right, also if they're not jerks about it, kind of have to tell you, yeah, that is an important thing that you have to kind of look at.
Oh,
and also, +1 in Pathfinder is actually a big thing.
Especially because in Pathfinder, they can definitely stack up. So, like, if you have a bard with you giving you a bonus, or anything else, any other thing at all that's giving a bonus, unless they are the same bonus type, they stack. So it really adds up. Also, I just saw Reap Psyche in all caps. Cthulhu Pathfinder, you say? Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. I'm pretty sure, I can't speak with certainty, but I know that in the past, they've had horror campaigns and cosmic horror campaigns with first edition. So I imagine it's only a matter of time, if they haven't already, released a Cthulhu. And if they haven't, then I will sit down, I will make a one-shot Cthulhu cosmic horror campaign, probably still based on Edge of Legend, because we have some great cosmic horror gods we haven't even gotten to touch yet.
Age of Cthulhu.
Age of Cthulhu Legend. That doesn't work. Anyway, so the next Edge of Cthulhu Legend, a little clunky, but I guess that's in line. So the next ability, now this is cool because Clue In is an ability that you get when you take the case. This is a reaction, and this is mostly to like counter fight another investigator. So it's weird because like it's extremely niche. However, it can be very exciting to now know as a player, you're not the only one investigating this. And let me put it this way. So you're Sherlock Holmes, right? Now you know Moriarty is onto you. And you know this because Clue In. Another creature attempts to check to investigate a lead you are pursuing. So you share information with the triggering creature. Okay, Mr. Moriarty knows we're here. But boom, now we got to work together to stop Moriarty. They gain a circumstance bonus to their check equal to your circumstance bonus to checks investigating your subject from Pursue a Lead.
PJ, I
Yep.
think you're reading the wrong thing. Sorry.
No, I'm reading Clue in. You share information with the triggering creature. They gain circumstance bonus. I think, I think the problem was my example started off kind of bad, and then I had to recover, so it's confusing. But moving right along, the GM can add any relevant traits to this reaction depending on the situation, such as auditory and linguistics if you're conveying information verbally. So you're on the track for Moriarty now, right? Maybe or you have to work together with Moriarty. Whatever it is, this is how you become an investigator that works with the team. So you're on the case, you're pursuing a lead. Maybe you're working with Moriarty against some third party, or you're working with Watson against Moriarty. However you want to take this example, this allows you to help share the benefits of your knowledge to your teammates.
Mm-hmm. I kind of also want to say this ability actually reminds me of not Sherlock Holmes. Actually, it reminds me of that TV show Law and Order SVU. You have to clue in your partner. Mm-hmm. Dun dun.
Absolutely.
Edge of Legends, SVU, dun dun.
So I'm being told by the chat that now we have to do a Call of Cthulhu episode of Edge of Legends. So I'll take that mantle. I guess the question is, are we going to do it for Halloween this year, or are we going to do it for something else? We will find out. Maybe it'll be a Halloween.
We're still we're still discussing what we're going to do for Halloween.
We do have a lot of plans for Halloween. I think, it'd be fun to kind of get into the spoopy season for our first year. All right, so I did clue in. Mr. Michael Powell, why don't you quickly go over devise a stratagem?
Oh, yeah. This ability is the bread and butter of the investigator. This was not in the playtest version of the class, which... Honestly, the playtest version of the class, PJ knows about this. I complained about this to PJ a lot. In the playtest version of Investigator, they kind of suck in combat. Their version of Devised Stratagem, I just basically get, here's a +1 to hit. And it costs you a action to get that, even get that one bonus. Not really flashy, it's kind of meh. But once they released Devised Stratagem in the finalized version of this ability basically changed. I want to say this is the feature that changed the entire class for me, really. But anyway, Devise a Stratagem is a concentrate, fortune, and investigator ability. Frequency is once per round. You assess a foe's weakness in combat and use them to formulate a plan of attack against your enemy. Choose a creature you can see and roll a d20. If you strike the chosen creature later this round, you must use the result of the roll you made to devise a stratagem for your strike's attack roll instead of rolling. You make this substitution only for the first strike you make against the creature this round, not any subsequent attacks. When you use the substitution, you can also add to your intelligence modifier to your attack instead of your strength or dexterity modifier, provided your strike uses an agile or finesse melee weapon, an agile or finesse unarmed attack, a ranged weapon, which must be agile or finesse if it's a melee weapon with the thrown trait, or a sap. If you are aware the creature you choose is a subject of the lead you're pursuing, you could use this action as a free roll. As a free action. That is bananas. Seriously.
This is dope for so many reasons. Number one, you basically get to pre-roll an attack. And if they're already the creature that you are like on the hunt for, like let's say Rufa's on the hunt for Xanakin, and then he shows up or you run into him, and it's go time. It's fight central, right? Yeah. You get as a free action then, if they're the creature you're targeting, one action if they're not, you get to basically roll in advance and add your intelligence modifier to hit.
Which is already going to be high. It's already going to be high.
Absolutely, because intelligence is your thing. Like I mean, except for like maybe spell bonuses from a wizard, no one gets intelligence to hit.
I kind of
So
want to
you're gonna.
say this ability kind of makes the investigator kind of like a divination wizard.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah. But like instead of having magic that lets you see the future, you are anticipating their action.
It's like that
Um,
scene in Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. when they're fighting in the pits. He's like, okay, first I'm going to do this, and then do that, and do this, and then later on he does it.
that's exactly what it's like. Yeah, it's very much that mental palace, like breaking a guy down. Like, oh, his left hand is led forward, but his right foot is kind of in line with his left. He probably has a lazy, bad right shoulder. Strike to the ribs, move up, and go for the next strike. This is what you're doing. You're breaking them down inch by inch in a matter of seconds, so that when you take your turn, it's
Yeah.
going to hit.
I want to kind of go into this a little bit because, like I said, devise a stratagem is such a big part of this class. So I hope you don't mind that I want to talk a little bit more about it.
A little bit. We still have so much more to go.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, I have notes. I wrote notes. I'm just gonna read some of my notes I have here.
Mhm.
Let's just say you're against an opponent and you do a devise a stratagem roll and you get a 20 after modifiers. It's pretty much a guaranteed hit, right? But now let's look at the other side of the coin. Say you roll something like a 1 or a 2. It's gonna miss, right? That's not gonna hit. You know it's gonna miss, so with your remaining actions, you could come up with another plan. You could maybe use your instead of actually even taking that fumble or whatever, you can maybe flank with the rogue. You could recall knowledge, drop some caltrops, or seriously, the list is endless. Make a movement roll, or honestly, this is make a movement roll and pull like a lever that does something, or close a door and lock it. Yeah, this ability basically makes you all reliable.
Yeah, and it's definitely helpful for hitting. From what I see there is you don't even have to roll and substitute. You take the devise a stratagem roll instead of rolling. So it helps you with more assurance factor. You're
Yeah.
like, oh man, this one time I roll my clickety clack number die, I may get the wrong thing. Instead of that, you're like, okay, well, my first action, I got like a 17 on the die face. With my training and my intelligence modifier, that's gonna be like a 25 or 27. That's probably gonna be a crit. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna use that now and not roll.
Yeah.
So it's
Investigators
really,
are planners. They're characters they're for players who like to devise tactics and plan out everything. So
Mhm.
if anything, yeah, I want to say if you play an investigator, a good archetype you got to go into would be Marshall.
I can see that for the buffing factor, but
Mhm.
I don't feel like it really works with how the marshal is meant to be the front line and stay there. It's definitely a good option if you want to be a buffer, but I feel like at that point, for more combat versatility, you're better off like doing a multi-class into bard, which could be very fun to have
Yeah.
a bard investigator. But moving right along, methodology. Now, methodology is pretty
Oh,
much the thing that you're
um,
going to choose. Yeah.
I believe we are forgetting the other part of devise stratagem.
Uh,
Strategic strike.
It's not listed. That's weird. No, it's later. They list it later in the book. Our
Oh, okay.
apologies. But yeah, let's jump ahead and do strategic strike. It makes sense. So you devise a stratagem. You roll to hit based off your intelligence, and you just automatically confirm whatever it is you rolled. And skip ahead, skip ahead. Please tell us about strategic strike.
Okay. This is basically the investigator's version of sneak attack. You strike carefully and with forethought. You deal a telling blow. When making a strike that adds your intelligence modifier on your attack roll due to devising a stratagem, you deal an additional 1d6 precision damage. As your investigator level increases, so does the deadliness of your strategic strike. Increase the number of dice by 1 at 5th level, 9th level, 13th level, and 17th level. And what's cool about this is it's precision damage, which means at a crit, that's double.
I need to check on that because I think in Pathfinder First Edition with precision damage dice, the precision dice are not doubled. At least that's what it was in Pathfinder First Edition. Now, regardless as to whether or not that 5d6 is doubled or not, that's still more damage than the rogue gets. That's what's super spicy about this. The rogue tops off at about 4d6, I believe. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But what's great is that this mechanic, devise a stratagem and study strike, strategic strike, go hand in hand. You're setting yourself up for sneak attack dice without actually having to sneak attack. You control this damage output. So you can, and if they're your target that you've been tracking this whole time, it's for free. It's outstanding.
It's Nova damage. It's Nova damage. Like, it's a big, huge hit.
Burst DPS for sure. And if you have like a rapier or heck, even probably a broadsword or a sword cane if you want to get really fancy. Ooh, sword canes. You can stack up some nice attack damage and you can stack up some lovely precision damage, and if it's a magical weapon, that's more dice. So you may not be out swinging the fighter, but once, oh my gosh, no, this is once a round. You can do this like every time.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Like I said, investigators are useful in combat now.
they were okay. Oh, you're still squishy. But then again, so are rogues. But now moving back to methodology, because now we know that at level 17, 5d6 at level 17, by the way, you're going to be hitting pretty darn hard once a round for free. So now let's add more flavor to your character with methodology. All right. Methodology is basically like the type of investigator you are that will give you your flavor, your special perks, all these fun things. Mr. Michael Powell, take it away with alchemical sciences.
All right. The alchemical sciences is the first of the methodologies that you could choose from. There's, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones. They're kind of like a rogue's racket or a druid's order, you know. For alchemical science, your methodology emphasizes the chemical and alchemical analysis, collecting information from unusual particles and fluids found on the scene. You possess enough alchemical know-how to whip up a few tinctures to help with your case. You are trained in crafting and gain the alchemical crafting skill feat. In addition, you gain a standard formula book for free and learn the formulas for 2 additional common first-level alchemical items, which must be elixirs or tools. Every time you gain a level, you learn the formula for 1 common alchemical elixir or alchemical tool of any level or any level of item you can create. During your daily preparations, you can create a number of versatile vials, alchemical concoctions that can quickly turn into elixirs and tools equal to your intelligence modifier. If you use the quick tincture and action to turn one of these vials into an elixir or alchemical tool for which you know the formula. Basically, you become a forensics team.
Yeah, you also get, for free, mind you, a limited amount of the alchemist class for free without having a multi-class. You just go, you know what? I want to be part wizard that drinks potions. Boom, there it is. You got it. No extra work for it. You can choose it at level 1. Now, the quick tincture action that might have been brought up. Quick tincture, that's a hard word to say. It's a 1 action at the cost of 1 versatile vial. You have to know the chemical item you're creating or holding or wearing, blah, blah, blah. You quickly brew up a short-lived tincture. You create a single alchemical elixir or tool of your level or lower without having to spend normal monetary costs. Basically, you're jury-rigging a quick potion or device, 1 action on the fly. So if you're like, hey, I need a low-grade bomb right now. Okay, well, here we go. Time to put some ammonia chloride together, shake it up real fast, mustard gas, and then whoop, 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 run out of there. So now Now you're basically just an alchemist for free with all these other kick-butt abilities. But what about empiricism? Michael Powell, what does empiricism do?
Empiricism. Everything comes down to data. Calculating statistics, running numbers, and using inductive reasoning allows you to determine the most likely outcome of any scenario, and anything out of place draws your keen attention. You are trained in one intelligence-based skill of your choice. You gain the That's Odd Investigator feat, and you gain the Expeditious Inspection free action.
Yep, the expeditious inspection free action. Again, this class is all about big words.
Yeah, this is what I had as Rufa in the playtest class.
Yes, and we'll definitely talk about Rufa and like different ways we can build Rufa and all the cool things Rufa can do. So the expeditious inspection is a free action which can be done once every 10 minutes. You observe with great speed. I remember this ability because it was one of those things where you have to ask your GM, like, GM, I'm using this. Can you roll for me? What do I do? You might have seen it on the show a bit. Basically, you recall knowledge, seek or sense motive, and I got to roll the D20 and add your bonuses. I believe this one is more or less different. I don't have to roll for you anymore.
Let me see.
Not that I can't see one way or the other.
No, it's basically it's the same as a recall knowledge, seek or sense motive. If it says the GM has to roll for you, they still have to roll for you.
Please tell me they got rid of that.
Honestly, this just makes it really fast.
Okay, yeah. So basically, this is getting a recall knowledge, seek or sense motive as a free action in combat.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Also, what I love about this is they finally got rid of the GM has to roll caveat because let me tell you, as a GM, it's awesome to interact with my players, but it's really frustrating to have to roll for them. I have to stop everything I'm doing. And also as a player, I can only imagine, because that's power and agency being taken from you for me to now suddenly cater to you on a random number generator. It's interesting in theory. It's extremely wonky in application.
Yeah, I want to say this ability is kind of like in the Batman Arkham series when you go into detective mode.
Yeah.
Like everything, like the important things become all highlighted.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they kept this as a player agent thing. That is much smarter, and I love that, and I love that for you. I love that for you. So now let's talk about forensic medicine.
Yeah, which I actually, like I said, when I said that was it alchemical science, you become a forensic team. Forensic medicine, you really become a forensic team. You literally become Pathfinder SVU.
Yeah,
dun dun.
You are.
Yeah.
You are trained in medicine and gain the forensics acumen and battle medicine skill feats. You just get a bunch of skills and skill feats for free.
Yeah, you learn that in most cases, especially murders, criminals leave more evidence of the crime on the body than they like to believe. Information from bruising, bone fractures, bone splinters, and even the life cycle of insects can provide valuable clues that help reconstruct the scene. You're trained in medicine and gain the forensic acumen and battle medicine skill feats. When you use battle medicine on a success, the target recovers additional hit points equal to your level, and target becomes temporarily immune for only 1 hour, not 1 day. I kind of want to say this ability, if the other one, if imperialism is kind of like Sherlock Holmes, then forensic sciences, you're Dr. Watson.
I can see that, yeah, especially like in the BBC version where he's less of a soldier and more of a doctor. Like there's still some soldier, because you can't take the soldier out of the doctor, but they've definitely, with Jude Law, they took the doctor out of the soldier. I think I said my words backwards. Anyway, the point is this: forensic medicine, you're now a healer. You're now a mundane and effective healer. Because normally when you make a medicine check to heal someone, that is once a day. So, and it's limited to how much you can actually heal them. Still, though, for a free heal that may be done once all your healing spells are expended, not bad. But now here comes the forensic medicine doctor in. He's like, hey, I got you. I'm going to just slap a patch on you. It's going to be my level higher, which in later games can get stupid. It's like 1d6 plus intelligence plus 20. And and then you can do it again an hour later. So you're consistent and reliable, as opposed to only giving them one extra shot. So if you want to be a healer version, this is the healer version to go with.
This is great if you want to be a backup healer to your cleric.
Yeah, always think of and thank your healers. Tipping is always encouraged. Tip your healers, please. They work very, very hard. They'll be here all week. So next up, interrogation.
Yeah, this is the one. Okay, we were allowed to at least I know I was allowed to revamp my character to a certain degree at Edge of Legends because I was playing the playtest version. This methodology was not included in the playtest version. I definitely would have taken it if it was in the playtest version. Interrogation. People can't help but trust you, whether though your inherent likableness or your firm insistence on sticking to the truth. You have a way about you that gets others talking, and you develop interrogative techniques to help get to the truth of your investigations. You are trained in diplomacy. You gain the no cause for alarm skill feat. You can also pursue a lead over the course of a conversation rather than spending dedicated time looking to the lead, provided the conversation lasts 1 minute or longer. For example, while you're trying to make an impression, you could pursue the creature you're conversing with as a lead. You could pursue a lead about an object while someone is telling you information about the object. You could also gain the pointed question action. This, like I said, this essentially, it makes you investigator like a bard.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about this is that this dives into that more of that Sherlockian superpower. Because the thing about interrogation is usually it's messy. Usually there's violence involved. It's behind closed doors. You kind of have to make it all like super edgelord. This is simply easy. Rufa can walk up to someone at a big fancy party with a cocktail in hand, ask a few subtle questions, maybe even probe with a few subtle jokes and anecdotes, make his rolls tremendously, and then walk away with a butt ton of information.
Yeah.
And there was no bloody knuckles and no, no angry nobles.
Yeah, this is for people who want to play the more social character. And honestly, there's also the other side of the coin where maybe Rufa doesn't want to be, charming and, lively or whatever. Say, here's a great example in one of our previous games. Chonibus got one of the senators over the river. It's a tense situation. We basically we play bad cops, like kind of like Batman. Swear to me, swear to me, swear to Rufa.
Like the whole hanging them over the ledge of a tall building, and Batman might drop them.
Yeah, in this case, Chonibus is Batman, and actually I want to say both of them are Batman. Chonibus is the muscle and Rufa's the brains.
She's the scary bat, you're the smart bat, and then we're all Spice Girls. So from the interrogation, you get this really cool ability called pointed question. I think it's somewhere in the description mentioned earlier by Michael. This is an action, so this means that this can be done in social encounters. This can even be done in combat. It's only one action. Basically, they have to. You have to roll your diplomacy against their will DC. So you're just rolling against the save value. And depending on the success or critical failure, you're going to get something fun. On a crit success, they have to answer your question directly. Doesn't have to answer truthfully, but you get a +4 circumstance bonus to your perception DC if the creature attempts to lie to you. So now I have to roll to lie against you. And we'll see how well that goes. On a regular success, it's a +2 instead of a +4. So you're still getting some information out of them. Yeah. On a failure, they can refuse to answer you as normal. Critical failure, they're going to flip you the bird and walk away, for lack of a better thing. So now you have a special ability that makes sure that no matter where you are, you're always getting information from a target. Mm-hmm.
I also like this ability because it's a heavy RP ability. And I love my RPs.
It's a fun, heavy RP. What I love about this, though, is it's an RP ability. They have taken the logic of combat and they have applied it to role play, because so many times people have a problem bridging those two gaps, and now you have mechanics that has done the bridging for you. Also, Mr. Mihara said, "I'll show you a social encounter." Objection. That's all I have to say to that. Moving right along. So we talked about strategic strike already and the investigator feats. Let's get rid of all of the investigator features before we go into the feats, because there's a lot of feats.
Yeah.
So you get skill feats at second level, skill increase at second level. So at second level, your skills are going to be stupid. They're going to be dummy thick. You're going to have the thickest skills. No one's going to be able to hear you with that stealth check, clapping them cheeks like they do. At third level, you're going to get a general feat. Everyone usually gets a feat at third level. Keen recollection. Now, keen recollection, you can recall pertinent facts on topics that aren't your specialty. Your proficiency bonus to untrained skill checks to recall knowledge is equal to your level instead of +0.
Honestly, at this point, you're trained in more skills than you're not.
Yeah, and it's insane. Like and God forfend, you are not trained in a skill. At level 3, you basically are trained in that skill now.
Yeah, you like I said before, investigators are skill monkeys. I actually want to say they're more skill monkeys than rogues or bards.
You know what? I especially think the keen recollection does that. You get jack of all trades, but here's the big payoff. Here's the caveat. Whereas jack of all trades gives you a little bit to everything, keen recollection mostly works with rolls to recall knowledge, which I believe is based off of lore and intelligence or something else. It's another roll, and right now I can't remember it. But anytime you roll to recall knowledge, it doesn't matter what the skill is, you're at least going to get your intelligence modifier and your level. You're basically training whatever that is.
Yeah, and also I want to say some of the investigator feats rely on your recall knowledge rolls.
Mm-hmm. So now, after you have gotten this amazing skill buff for recall knowledge, you get skillful lessons at third level, and every odd-numbered level after that, you gain another skill feat. They have to be based on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. But here's the thing. Skillful lessons is a skill feat that's very niche. You're still getting skill feats for non-niche skill feats. You are so gosh darn skillful, it's disgusting. Also, to reach out into the chat very fast, Mr. Mehara is bringing up a time that I was at IHOP with Mr. Mehara back in the East Coast, and a guy was throwing creamers at us. So story time. Long story short, my friend and I were at an IHOP at the way too late in the morning, like you do. And as we're talking about, I don't know, video games loudly, as we were prone to do, this creamer just bombed on our table, and we're like, what the heck is that? And another one, bam, starts like coming down in volleys, and we look, and there's this guy across the IHOP who's like twitching. He's got this mad fiend, and he's just getting a whole bunch of these creamers, and he's like messing with them, and he's just throwing them at us. And I forgot it was Mr. Mehara or me, but we're like, excuse you, sir, could you please stop throwing creamers at us? And I believe the guy's like, oh no, that wasn't me, or something. Mr. Mehara, please jump in the chat and correct me.
See, that's when you have to devise a stratagem.
That's when you have to have a strategic strike.
Yeah.
I forgot what his excuse was. I want to say it had to do with the Ninja Turtles. Look, the dude was not all there. Much like us, he was at IHOP at 3 a.m. making bad life choices. That was all you, yeah.
But anyway, with skillful, I want to say also with us, skillful lessons. One of the things you could do, because it's a you have to get an intelligence skill. You can actually kind of abuse this and just, like I said, once again, be the know-it-all and just take all the lore, different lores, because they're all intelligence-based.
You can even get, I think, I have to double-check, but you can get the language-based skills, so you can just speak, like, every language.
Yeah. Rufa can finally speak Orc.
And that's going to come in handy for at least the next 2 or 3 levels.
Yeah.
So, skillful lessons, keen recollection, the never-ending skill feats that you get. Now, at 5th level, ability boost. Everyone gets that at 5th level. It's nice. Ancestry feats, 5th level. I believe everyone gets them at 5th. Yeah, it's like 1, 5, and a few others. Weapon expertise. This is always fun, and you're going to see this pop up a lot with other classes, especially melee combat characters. Weapon expertise ups your training from training to expert. Expert. Can't make brain work. Yeah, increases to expert. And this is great because that's going to be how your to hit jumps up. So let's say you're a 5th level investigator. You have a maxed out 18, maybe at this point potentially 19 intelligence, and you're attacking with a weapon you're proficient in. Let's say a whip chain. You're now level 5, which means it's 5 plus being expert plus 4. That's 9. Now plus the 4 from your intelligence, that's 13. At level 5 with a smart investigator, you're getting plus 13 to your roll to hit, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, and combine that with devise a stratagem and strategic strike, and now that becomes so sick.
Yup, it gets nasty. At 7th level, we get vigilant senses. Why don't you tell them what vigilant senses are?
Through your adventures, you developed keen awareness and attention to detail. Your proficiency ranks in perception increases to master, which is it's really, really good because, like I said before, like we've been stating this a lot, perception is, I honestly want to say, of all the stats, yeah, intelligence is the stat for investigators, but I actually want to disagree. I want to say perception is the quote-unquote stat for investigators.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I have to double check because this book has come out with a bunch of amazing new feats, and there's some great feats in the core rulebook. But I imagine it's not too hard, if it doesn't exist, to invent a feat whereby perception becomes based off your intelligence instead of your wisdom. And then it's just 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Mr. Mihara, congrats on the house, man.
Yeah, congrats,
it's amazing.
Man.
Finally a house owner. I am not a house owner. I am a house liver inner. So Vigilant Senses makes you a master at level 7. This is also huge because at level 7, no one's a master of anything unless they really cheesed the game and got all the feats. And Master gives you a +6 to your level bonus. So that means you're having, without even factoring in wisdom or intelligence, a +13 to perception. And then you add your wisdom, maybe that's another 4. That's now +17. It's silly.
Yeah, and also keep this in mind. Usually in Pathfinder, it's what's the stat? For initiative, you use perception. You're pretty much always going to be going first. It's going to be like, nuh-uh, me first.
I remember there was a feat in first edition Pathfinder called I think it was, oh gosh, it was called something like I go first or I'm always first. It was a stupid named feat. It was a canonical feat. And it basically meant you no longer rolled initiative. You always had the top initiative value. It was insane. At 7th level, you also get, check this out, and other fighter classes get this, but this is just so beautiful to hear out loud. You deal 2 additional damage with weapons and unarmed attacks in which you are an expert. This damage increases to 3 if you are a master and 4 if you are legendary. You just deal more damage. And that will stack up as you level up. So if you're doing, like, let's just say you have a rapier and you're doing precision damage, you're doing like 1d8 plus 5d6 plus your intelligence modifier plus, at like endgame, maybe a bonus 4.
And then combine that with strategic strike?
Yeah, the 5d6, it's rough. Now granted, at level 20, are there other classes that might be able to outpace this damage? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is this comparable? Entirely. This is a good
You're
thing.
able to run with the pack, and like I said, I really love how Investigator, this version of Investigator is, they're useful in combat. They're no longer, okay, I need to sit back. And how I used to play it, honestly, crowd control, trip, disarm. Even though that's great in combat, sometimes you kind of want to deal that meaty hit.
Yeah, sometimes the best strategy is to kill the thing quickly.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, at ninth level, Great Fortitude, you become an expert in Fortitude, which if you're a champion or a fighter, you already got, but now they have it. At ninth level, you also get Investigator Expertise. Basically, when you use Pursue a Lead, that bonus is increased by 2. I'm sorry, it's increased to a +2. So instead of getting that +1 whenever you want, now it's a +2 whenever you want. Your proficiency rank for your investigator class increases to expert. So now it's much harder to save against your crazy abilities. And now number 11, Michael Powell, take away deductive improvisation.
You use your skills at deduction to perform whatever task is necessary to solve the case. You can attempt any check that requires you to be trained in a skill, even if you're untrained in it. You can attempt any check that requires you to have expert proficiency in a skill, as long as you're trained in it. You can attempt any check that requires you to have master proficiency in a skill, as long as you have expert proficiency in it.
That is correct.
So pretty much, from what it sounds to me, I'm an expert. No, I'm actually now a master at it.
So there's a series of skill abilities that players can do. Some are considered common, some are considered advanced. And advanced skills require you to be trained in them. So like, for example, say you want to make a crafting check to whittle little wooden reindeer. If you're not trained in crafting, yeah, you could probably BS your way around it with a knife and some wood. However, let's say you want to use the craft action to repair a very important vase, or I don't know, some other advanced check related to crafting, repairing, appraising, all these kind of things. If you're not trained in crafting, you cannot access those advanced craft skill features. Makes sense. You have to actually know what you're doing in this case to do these things. Not with this 11th level ability. You can now use advanced skill features on anything, including stuff you know nothing about, because you're just that darn smart.
Yeah. Like I said, this, once again, doubles down on the whole skill monkey aspect of the investigator.
Yep. And it gets better because they also get resolve, which makes you a master of will saves. And whenever you roll a will save, all successes are crit successes. Also, apologies for my hair. I'm seeing it in the playback, and my hair looks awful. But that's what happens when you sleep and you need a haircut, so forgive my horrible hair. So yeah, all of your successes are critical successes. That's amazing for mind control spells that are based on willpower, which you're now a master at fighting off. So incredible senses. Basically, your proficiency rank for perception is now legendary. At level 13, you have your first legendary skill, and it's the most important skill in the game, and that gives you your level plus bonuses plus 8.
And this also works alongside the capstone of the investigator class that we're going to mention later on. But next up, we have the light armor expertise, which is you learn how to dodge while wearing light to no armor. Your proficiency ranks for light armor and unarmed defense increases to expert.
Yep, and that is awesome because I like to say being a naked character is better than being a character with heavy armor. So having that naked AC be high is always good because you won't always have armor on. If you're a fighter or a champion, then yeah, you'll probably have to rely upon that. And there's some perks to it, but gosh, it comes with detriments. And speaking of becoming masters in things, you also get weapon mastery. Now you are a master in the weapons you're proficient in, so you get more bonus to hit. More bonus to hit, more armor. Your proficiency in perception is legendary. You just get a big old fat stack of buffs at 13. You're now a super investigator. And then level 15, you get evasion. And Michael Powell, please take it away on evasion.
You learn to move quickly to avoid explosions, dragon's breath, and worse. Your proficiency rank for reflex save increases to master. When you roll a success on reflex save, you get a critical success instead. So it's kind of like that other ability you got. instead all your successes for your reflex saves are now crits.
Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with evasion in other games, it's usually that ability whereby here's a fireball, and you say, nope, no fireball for me today. You get this. And what's great is that usually evasion is saved for rogues or monks. You know, more melee fighters that have to rely on dexterity to stay alive. You get this, and you may not even be in the fight. You may be like, that looks like a fireball spell. It looks like a level 9 fireball spell. Nope, don't want that noise. And then you just nope a fireball. Granted, It takes a long time to get to, but by then it's worth it. Dear God.
You know what? I just had this image. Remember, in the anime Dragon Ball, where like Goku looks like he's not really moving, avoiding all these energy blasts, but he's actually just moving a millimeter to the left or millimeter to the right. That's how I kind of see this ability with the Investigator.
I remember that episode. Yeah, that was when he was on Namek, right? And Jin's Converter are just lighting them up. Yeah, classic. You also get great weapon specialization. Now, this is awesome because you just do more damage. Whereas before, all the way back at level 7, you got a +2 to things that you were experts with, 3 if you're a master, 4 if you're legendary. Well, now that's getting better too. You're going to do a +4 if you are an expert, 6 if you're a master, and now you're going to do a +8 damage if you are legendary in something. Yeah. In a weapon. So now at like 17th level, 15th level.
PJ, now you know why I wanted a whip instead of a sword cane, right?
So you can just punch them from range and be safe?
Yeah.
God, it's amazing. 17th level, Greater Resolve. You know that other resolve? Well, now that's leveled up. So it goes from master to legendary. So now you're getting a +8 on all your willpower saves. When you roll a success on a will save, you get a critical success, same as last time. But when you roll a critical failure, it's just a normal failure. You can now no longer crit fail any will save. So again, let's say we're doing Call of Cthulhu, and the Mind Flayers and the Yef Hounds and all those nasty nasties are coming out, and they're trying to make you go insane. You can now only go kind of insane. You can never be fully mad, which thank God for that. And when you fail a will,
you now have a moat around your Mind Palace.
Yes, and you reinforce your Mind Palace with more stone, because if there's a will save damage spell, like a psychic damage spell, even on a, let's see here, even on a save, when you fail, you take half damage instead of full damage, which can really save some people, dear God. Now, Light Armor Mastery, we're getting to those 2 capstones. So, Mr. Michael Powell, take it away with both level 19 capstones, because this is going to be fun.
I'm sorry. You said to go first with Light Armor Mastery, right?
Yes, please. Let's save the best one for last.
Your skill with Light Armor improves, increasing your ability to dodge blows. Your proficiency ranks in Light Armor and Unarmored Defense increases to Master.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're better with that Light Armor or Unarmed Defense now. But the next one, the capstone of the Investigator is called Master Detective. I like to call this one the big red button.
Yeah, if you remember earlier in the day, we talked about how they have this big fat I win button. This is it. Please tell us about this big fat I win button.
I don't know what your feelings about this is, but some of the other GMs that I've talked to before online, they actually don't like this ability too much because it takes agency away from them, or basically it ruins all their plans. That's why I say Investigator is one of those classes that you have to work closely with your GM. And this is the reason why. It's a level 19 ability called Master Detective. As a Master Detective, you can solve any case and find all the clues available. If you're pursuing the subject of the lead and you enter a new location that includes another clue towards solving the mystery, the GM informs you of the existence of the clue and its type, a person, object, or spell effect, or the like. When you find the clue, the GM informs you that you've done so. If there is more than one clue in a location, the GM chooses one to inform you about. When you find any of the clues in that location, the GM informs you that you've done so, even if it wasn't a clue that they chosen, or there are other clues that you haven't found. Your proficiency rank in your investigator class DC increases to master.
Yeah, so this is the big I win button because, and I can see why GMs don't like this. Because you walk into a room with your legendary level 19 perception of, let's do that
Swagger
math
in.
first. Yeah, you swagger in with a not including any bonuses for the actual perception stat, just raw bonuses. 19 plus 8 is 27. You have a plus 27 to perception, and then you can add your wisdom modifier of who the hell cares at this point, because it's almost plus 30, and then make a roll. The minute you roll a die, don't even look at that sucker. Just go, I win. This clue. What is it? Tell me what it is. Tell me how it works. Tell me the entire plot. Give me all the information. I win.
Yeah.
And I can see why they don't like this, because if you are one of the few that actually get to a level 20 campaign, or let's say you start a level 20 campaign, all of the hard work that GM is going to put into creating the hooks, the red herrings, the curveballs, the drama, all of the hard work that GM is putting into your experience is now null and void because someone with a plus 27 rolled and said, I find the thing, what is it, how do I use it, what's the win? And it's like, that's great to have as a power, but that robs you, your friends at the table, and your GM of a ton of fun. And I can see why the only balancing thing to this is that it's a level 19 ability. The whole thing is pretty much done at this point. It makes sense. It's the ultimate culmination of all your in and out of game powers. But God, does it take the fun out of it.
Reap Psyches made this great point. Hand me your binder. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the GM now.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is the investigator going, I am the plot now. I got this. So I don't like it. I respect it because, oh boy, that's truly worthy of a capstone ability. But also, it kind of ruins the game. So when
That's why I
Rufus gets
said
to level
you have
20,
to work. You have to have a good relationship with your GM and work with them when you pick the investigator class.
yeah. Or what I would do if I had to repurpose this, I would say keep it as is, but instead of just giving you information, get massive bonuses to specific questions to the GM. So you still have to
I
earn
get
it.
plus 30 on top of my already plus 30.
Yeah, because plus 60 isn't enough.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I said, instead of looking in getting a peek at your notes, I get a peek behind your screen now. I not even get a peek. I'm standing behind you reading what's in your behind your screen now.
I might as well just be like, what did you roll? I rolled a 2. Okay, now I crit fail. Here's my notebook. Take a look at my notes. Cue the Vegeta, I am the hype gift, but with Rufa and plot. Yeah, I am the plot. All right, now, so we've just done the features that all investigators get from 1 to 20. Let's talk about the feats. Now, there's a lot of them because, again, it's 1 to 20, so we're going to try and make this not too fast, but fast with respect. So at first level, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices. Some of these will be feats that you can get from your methodology. So free feats, always good. First one is flexible studies. During your daily preparations, you can cram on a certain subject to become temporarily trained in one skill of your choice. So, if you're not already trained enough, you can BS one skill for a day. This proficiency lasts until you use prepare again. As this proficiency is temporary, you cannot use it as a prerequisite for a skill increase or a permanent character option like a feat. Absolutely, don't be that guy. So yeah, flexible studies. Just if you don't have all the skills, now you do. I hate you. Known weakness. Whenever you devise a stratagem, you can also attempt to check a recall knowledge as part of that action. If you critically succeed that check, you notice a weakness and get a +1 bonus to your attack roll from devise a stratagem. And if you immediately convey this information to your allies as part of the check, they also get a +1 to their next attack roll, as long as their attack is made before the beginning of your next round. Dear freaking God.
Yeah, this was actually one of the built-in features of the playtest Investigator, I believe.
Yeah, if Rufa gets this, Rufa is now, in a way, a bard into himself, because now he gets more bonuses to hit, and on top of that, he can choose to share that information with the class, and now they get bonuses. And when that becomes a +2, I can only fathom that +2 is now being shared with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, that's amazing. What's Takedown Expert, Michael Powell? Please tell us
Takedown
about
Expert, you master the combat practices that get you up close and bring down perpetrators alive. You can use your intelligence modifier on attack rolls when you devise a stratagem if you're using a weapon of the club group in one hand, like a club, staff, or sap. In addition to the usual weapons, those strikes qualify for your strategic strike. Additionally, you can make any of your strikes non-lethal without taking the normal -2 penalty.
Yeah, that's really important because those weapons are not at all finesse or agile weapons, and this ability only extends to those. But let's say you don't want to use blades. You want to use blunt objects for whatever reason, maybe like the sap. You want to do a bunch of non-lethal damage and potentially knock someone out in combat. Or say you are a lizard man investigator. That's hilarious. Lizard men are great at using great clubs. So now you can be the smartest lizard boy with the biggest wompy stick, and you could go around and you can just get clues, which is now my new lizard man investigator's word for violent brain trauma to bad guys. I love this. Wompy stick, lizard man investigator. And yeah, so it's a good side build or something different.
For the next one, it's a feat called That's Odd. When you enter a new location such as a room or corridor, you immediately notice one thing out of the ordinary. The GM determines what it is or whether there's nothing reasonable to pick up, skipping the clues that can be easily noticed without a check or specifically looking at them. You learn only that an area or object is suspicious, but not why it's suspicious. For example, if you enter a study with a large bloodstain on the ground, the bloodstain is so obviously suspicious that it's evident to you already. So the GM might note that there's something suspicious about the desk drawer instead. You would then need to investigate the drawer further to find out what specifically is out of the ordinary. That's Odd doesn't reveal whether creatures are suspicious. You don't typically get any benefit when you leave and come back to a place, though if a major change has happened there and time has passed, the GM might determine you do. I want to say this feat, it's great. It's actually really good for kind of players who are playing characters who's actually kind of smarter than them. In kind of like in my case, where Rufa is obviously smarter than Michael. Yeah, they are, because honestly, everyone can't be Sherlock Holmes.
Hey man, don't worry about it. Rufa's already smarter than me, so and it's tough when I'm the GM and I have to be smarter than a PC. I was gonna say That's Odd is kind of an interesting thing for GMs. It creates more work. Now, obviously, you can BS something like I do, and that's fun. That's fine. But if you're doing an actual mystery instead of like a fantasy with a secret, that sounds really weird. I have a fantasy with a secret. But if you're doing an actual mystery, then every clue matters. So you have to prepare as a GM so many more steps solely because someone has this feat. And so that's going to take some communication. Yeah. And who knows? Yeah. Maybe that makes things more interesting. But it will definitely for sure put more work on the GM.
It's a free hint. It's a free hint.
Yeah, it's a free hint. And it's going to take a lot of like self-understanding of the campaign you've written and the notes you have for yourself. Next up is Trap Finder. This is awesome. I'm surprised I haven't seen this more pop up in other classes. Basically, you get a +1 bonus to perception to find traps. You get plus to AC against attacks made by traps and save against traps. You're the trap guy. Even if you aren't searching, you get to check to find traps that normally require you to be searching. You still need to meet any requirements to actually find the trap. You can then disable the trap that requires a proficiency rank master in thievery. If you have master proficiency in thievery, you can disable a trap that requires a rank of legendary. So not only are you always looking for traps. You have bonuses to find them. You have bonuses to save yourself against them. And you can disarm traps like 2 or 3 levels out of your league.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be like dungeoneering a lot with this investigator, Trap Finder, your party will thank you.
Yeah.
Because if not, they'll be dead.
Essentially, this is for investigators who want to play characters who lean more towards the rogue side of things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and speaking of, Mr. Powell, please tell us about Underworld Investigator.
Underworld Investigator is a level 1 feat. You work as an investigator that makes you familiar with the criminal element. You might be a criminal yourself, or you might have gained understanding of how they operate from the outside. You become trained in underworld lore, and you gain the Pursue a Lead circumstance bonus to thievery checks to investigate the subject of your lead, such as checks to steal a clue from a suspect or pick a lock to open a safe with damning documents.
Criminal Rufa in the chat, yeah. So this is awesome because Pursue a Lead is mostly just recall knowledge, see, search, perception-based things. This is great because now you can use your +1 bonus or +2 that you get all the time to be stealthy and steal things. You're like Criminal Rufa. It's more likely than you think. So, if you want to play like the edgy gumshoe who has to fight on the mean streets, you now have a very fun and interesting way to do that.
Or if you want to play pretty much, I know I keep going back to this but I'm gonna. But a cop on Law and Order when you're like dealing with perps and stuff. Or even a corrupt cop.
Absolutely. Like maybe you're like the one corrupt cop who no one likes, but he gets results even though they don't agree with his methods. So many fun things that you can do with that. And now we move on to level 2. Mm-hmm. And this is also something to pay close attention to because Rufa is now level 2, and he gets to choose one of these sweet, sweet feats. Second level, the first one is Athletic Strategist. You have to be proficient in proficient. That's a different word. You have to be trained in athletics. In addition to using Devise a Stratagem to modify a strike, you can also use it to modify a disarm, grapple, shove, or tripped attempt. So now you're just getting bonuses for that as well. Substituting your Devise a Stratagem roll for the athletics check, you must apply the substitution for the first level. So now it's just like Devise a Stratagem to hit, but instead of doing it to hit, you're doing it for an athletics-based check. I'm going to climb intelligently. I'm going to do a wrist lock and grapple this guy or disarm him intelligently. You can also use your intelligence modifier again.
I'm leaning toward this one. Honestly, this is the one I'm leaning towards.
Unless you're using a weapon for the maneuver, the weapon does not fit the restrictions for using intelligence with a stratagem. Yeah, it's really good for crowd control based off your intelligence.
I'm really leaning toward this. This is the one I'm leaning towards as my class feat.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. So the next one is Red Herring. I'm trying to. I'll probably learn how good it is when I read it.
Yeah. It's also for our audience to know. This is not Red Herring from a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Oh, you read my mind. Yes. Every time I hear the word Red Herring, I think of that curly ginger boy bully who beats up Freddy all the time. So let's see here. Red Herring. You have a keen sense for avoiding spurious lines of inquiry. When you use Pursue a Lead, the GM tells you if the lead you chose is inconsequential. Now, that's basically the ability. And I feel like this is something that a good GM and a good player should just give each other, right? Like, if I see that Rufa's going on a wild goose chase, I will do everything in my power to allow him to earn the knowledge that he is wasting his time, as opposed to sitting back and going, you don't have the feat, so you don't get to know you're wasting your time. Because I just feel like it's a good communication between GM and players when you can not so much control the bomb blast, but guide the explosion. So having a whole feat that forces that seems like the only reason you need it is because you have an absolute a-hole GM or a GM who believes in as much laissez-faire as possible, and this is forcing their hand. I just don't think it's worth it. That's just me.
I
Maybe
think
I'm wrong.
this feat was built in for those situations.
Yeah, it's better to be prepared for the worst, and hope for the best. So now we have shared stratagem. Why don't you take it away, Michael Powell?
All right, share stratagem. Level 2 feat. The plans you make include your allies as well as yourself. When you hit a creature with an attack or which you substituted your attack roll due to devising a stratagem, designate one ally. The creature you hit is flat-footed to that ally on the next attack of the designated ally makes against the creature before the start of the next turn. So pretty much any creature Rufa does a devised stratagem to, I can make an ally make that creature flat-footed to another ally, which is great for like team-up attacks. Honestly,
Oh my god.
team this up, Rufa devise stratagems against a opponent, and then designate Shonibus with her bow and arrow.
Oh man. That's such a great thing because like we had this big day yesterday. We all met up and we all decided to kind of work together on kind of retraining and growing our characters past level 2, or to level 2, I should say. So I don't know exactly which path she went down, but there's a chance Shionibus might have dipped her toe into some rogue feats, little rogue multi-class there. So yeah, having a ranged sneak attack of over 30 feet, and you have this man who's now setting this person up for a sneak attack. That's disgusting.
It's
synergy.
Combo attack. It's a tag team attack.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Oh, what would you call that? Anyway, so the other option you get at level 2 is solid lead.
I have a name for it. I set him up. You take him down.
The old set up and strike.
Yep.
Solid lead. I love that. So again, we have to figure out what level 2 feat you're going to be taking there, Michael. Once per day. This is for solid lead, sorry about that. Once per day, when you give up on the subject of a lead due to using pursue a lead again, you can designate the lead you stopped pursuing as your solid lead for the day. Even though you stopped following the solid lead, you can change back to your solid lead any number of times by using a single action, which has the concentrate trait. Doing so ends one of your current leads as normal. During your next lead preparation, you can maintain your solid lead or you can remove it. Removing it allows you to designate a new solid lead for the day. So solid lead is basically a free secondary lead that you can look into. And it's great because it's persistent. So if you are really loving that key mechanic that investigators, I do that every time, that investigators have, you can now get more of it and with one that's more reliable. So let's say Rufa is trying to look into Champion Zanakin and the orc army that's about to attack Adolphon Prime in her show Edge of Legend. But to serve that greater thing, he has got to investigate the potential goblins living in the sewer under Adolphon Prime. Now, he can have both. He can have Champion Zanakin and the army of the Green Orcs as his solid lead, and that will never go away. But he can have this constant, flexible lead of the goblins under the sewers. Master Dominus's new speech at the Senate floor. Whatever. So he has these two he can go back to.
So I don't have to keep taking out a case and putting a new case back in. I change it on the fly, easy.
Exactly. So if you really love the flexibility of that core mechanic, this is lots of fun. However, Michael Powell, this is going to be a hard choice what Roof is going to take at level 2 because you have a solid lead for flexibility, shared stratagem for team mechanics, and athletic strategist for more
crowd control. Yeah.
And when no one's talking about red herring because I'm not the kind of dimwat that needs red herring used against me.
And then on top of that, let's not forget, hey, there's archetypes out there as well.
Oh my God, so many archetypes.
So many options.
Are you going to multi-class? Huh?
We'll see. We'll find out on Wednesdays on Edge of Legends.
Shameless self-promotion with Synergy. You'll find out what he chose tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Edge of Legend. And actually, you get to find out what all these amazing players chose. Also, I'm working on creating Morel's character sheet. So he will be a real statted NPC with a whole bunch of abilities and perks. And maybe when other NPCs come and join and maybe even die and fall, maybe I'll Patreon off the character sheet, the one and only character sheet of that character.
Mhm.
So let's move on to level 4, shall we? By the way, I do want to put out there that normally on the show, we like to have a character build session. And we do still have the competition going for the best NPCs that will be voted on later. However, with the deep dive going the way it is, I think we're having a great time talking about this with you guys. I don't foresee us able to create a character today, but hey, maybe next week. So come at us with all those great ideas you have. If you want to, you can shoot those ideas to us at the table or Nat20 Productions on our Twitter. You can put them up on our Facebook page, and then we can bring them up for discussion next week as kind of my way of saying, sorry we couldn't get to it today. I'd love to see them because I love building characters with y'all. But without further ado, let's go on to level 4 feats.
All right, the next one is alchemical discoveries. Should I take this one, or do you want
please.
it?
Oh no, please, by all means.
All right, alchemical discoveries is a level 4 feat. You have to have the alchemical science methodology. You devoted extra time to improve your knowledge of alchemy. You learn the formulas for 2 alchemical items each time you level up instead of 1. These must still be elixirs or tools. The number of versatile vials you can create each day increases by 1. If you're an expert in crafting, 2. If you're a master, 2 if you're a master, and 3 if you're a legendary. So you're just better at alchemy. Like, honestly, at this point, I would. Why haven't you taken the archetype, like, alchemist? Really?
Well, I think what's cool about this is that you don't have to. You don't have to worry about having maybe like a less than savory dedication feat and then maybe getting like a diminished return. This lets you build the alchemist right into your class.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. Now, maybe you're not going to be as powerful as a full-blown alchemist, but you're certainly not going to be too far behind. Also, yeah, I do want to point out, Reap Psyche made a good point about red herring. It's absolutely useful if your GM is that type of GM. However, that's very, very hard to plan for, unless it's like, oh, it's going to be Jeremy. We all know Jeremy just likes to get free coin.
Yeah. It's like that guy who runs one shot every once in a while.
Yeah.
That you never end up finishing the actual game.
Yeah, so maybe it's good for him. I don't know. I have a personal problem with GMs where this is a necessity, but that's my own thing. Reap Psyche, though, you make a very good point, and I definitely see a purpose for it, but to each their own. Yeah, so alchemical discoveries, as Michael put it, just keeps making you an awesome alchemist. Detective readiness. You gain your circumstance bonus from Pursue a Lead on saving throws. So now you can use that +1, +2 later to just save better. Against the subject of a lead that you can use Clue in to assist an ally saving throw against the subject. So let's say you're chasing down Champions Anakin. Not only are you getting a +1 to saving throws that he may throw against you, but you can give this bonus to the party on their saving throws against this guy. Stupid good, especially for someone who wants to be like, I want to buff the team a little bit. Like, this is a +1 to +2 saving throw on whatever they're doing, and it's a what type of bonus is it? It's a circumstance bonus. So if you're a level 2 champion with a I think it's a divine bonus that they get to saving throws. It's a +2, and you've got a circumstance bonus from Pursue the Lead. You now have a +3 to +4 on any saving throw as a champion you need to make. Not included everything else. That's gorgeously crazy.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Lie Detector. It's a level 4 feat. This one you have to have Imperialism or Interrogation methodology. You're adept at noticing the tells of a liar, sweat, flushing, a quivering voice, a quickening pulse. You gain +1 bonus to perception checks to sense motive and to perception DCs against attempts to lie to you. When you determine someone is lying to you, you can use their deceit to your advantage and gain +1 circumstance bonus to the next deception, diplomacy, intimidation, or performance check you attempt against that creature within the next minute. So now that I've taken now that Rufa has the investigator methodology, yeah, like, it's gonna be really, really hard for suspects to lie to him if I take this one.
Yeah, you basically become Daredevil. And I think that's amazing. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, hey, Michael, maybe you want lie detector at level 4, or gosh, maybe get the detective readiness to like give more buffs to people. So many great choices, so many great character builds. Um, Ongoing investigation. You can move at full speed while using the investigate exploration activity, and you can use another exploration activity while investigating. We don't get into downtime actions a lot, ladies and gentlemen, but holy moly cannoli. General Kenobi. That is crazy. So you could do 2 for 1, and normally when you have to do something while moving, you're moving at like half your speed or like 10 penalty. You can run through Rufa, if he took ongoing investigation, he could run through all of Adolphon Prime at full speed while not only investigating, but doing a diplomacy check. You could like get the whole local guard to join you in this search while you're searching. This is
So you're
so
telling
cool.
me to have Rufa start a angry mob?
I mean, look, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you want to start an angry mob, I got stats
Get the
for that.
pitchforks.
Can you hear the people singing a song of angry men? Rufa, please stop. We don't have the rights to Les Mis.
All right. Next one
Scalpel's Point.
we have is a level 4 feat called Scalpel's Point. This one you have to have the forensic medicine methodology. Your stratagems benefit from your precise knowledge of autonomy. When you critically hit with a attack on which you substitute your attack roll due to devising a stratagem, if your attack dealt piercing or slashing damage, you also deal 1d6 persistent bleed damage to your target, which is bonkers.
Oh, that's amazing. It's persistent, so it's going to last until they do anything to stop it. So if you're, let's just flash forward. You're level 17. You're doing on a strategic strike. Let's just say you have a rapier. I just like that because a D8 sounds nice. Maybe it's a D6 in this edition. I gotta double check. But you're doing at least 1d8 plus 5d6 plus all the fat damage, for being an expert of this weapon and your intelligence. And now, for the rest of the fight, this guy's got to roll 1d6 bleed at the end of his turn on top of the fat, thick, dummy damage he just,
This is
pulled up
actually one of
against.
the few feat, I want to say, one of the few feats that ups your investigator damage, because honestly,
yeah.
investigator really isn't built to combat, but this is an option for you to kind of build a combat investigator.
Yeah, it's really fun. They're not built for combat, but boy, they have ways around that. It's really, really fun. And last, for level 4, you have strategic assessment. When you critically hit a creature with a strike on which you substitute your attack roll due to devising a stratagem, the GM chooses one of the following pieces of information to give you about the enemy. The enemy's weakness, the highest resistance, the enemy's saving throw that is the lowest, and the one immunity the enemy has, or one immunity the enemy has. So not only are you beating this sucker up, but now you're learning how to better beat this sucker up. Also, I just saw in chat, fat, thick, dummy damage, and Reap Psyche apparently shooting laser beams out of his face. Are you Cyclops now? I love it.
But yeah, it's pretty, once again, it's one of those abilities for an investigator to take a peek at your GM's notes.
Yep. So when you have an investigator, just prepare as a GM to give them all the tea.
Or you could honestly, you have somebody that gets to look at your notes. This is also a perfect opportunity to have a player actually work with you to move along the plot.
Very much.
Yeah,
so.
Instead of just murder hoboing everything or go on nonsensical, whimsical tangents.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who goes on nonsensical, whimsical tangents? Not me.
Mm-hmm.
6th level, we got Connect the Dots. This one's a big one. Now, first, how dare you compare me to Cyclops, sir? Hey, look, Cyclops was really dope until they made Wolverine popular, and they had to start sabotaging his character. So it's a compliment until 1979. Anyway, Connect the Dots. This one's a long one. Basically, you have to be using your Take the Case ability with 2 different cases. You can spend 10 minutes considering them. You attempt to check to investigate how connected they are. Unless the GM determines otherwise, this is a crafting check if they're both items, or a society check for other combinations of leads. If a subject are creatures, the check usually has the highest DC among their deception and will save DCs. If no subjects are creatures, but at least one is an item. Okay, this is where it gets a little pedantic. We're going to skip all this. Once you try to connect the dots between two particular leads, you can never try to connect them again unless the GM allows it after you've learned new information. And here's the check. A critical success, the GM tells you how connected the two leads are to one another. Highly connected, somewhat, tangentially, or not at all. The GM also tells you in one specific way in which they are connected, if they are. Now, a success instead of a crit, the same, but I don't tell you a specific connection. Failure, you get nothing. Critical failure, not only do you get nothing, but you start having to make up some lies that you're telling yourself. You misconstrue the information. It's like a success, but I gave you the wrong details. I feel weird about this one. Like, I don't know. I just feel weird about it. I feel like it's similar to the red herring skill, in that it's really there if you have a bad GM, or the player just can't. Maybe it's there if the player just can't figure it out. You know what I mean? Which at least is beneficial, because like you said, Rufa is smarter than Michael. Rufa's also smarter than PJ. Mm-hmm. If Rufa can connect the dots, that's great. Also, what if there's no dots to connect? That's kind of my problem with it. And if you use that, to try and connect the dots on these two things that aren't related, I may or may not tell you, but then you kind of use that ability and it's all done, and you can't use it again until you get significant new information, or like a whole new day, or maybe even permanently. So it's just kind of like, it's a big risk for not a very potent reward. Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah. Like we said before, this is one of those feats that's built into it's one of those one-shot game things where you don't really know the GM, or you know that the GM has certain habits that you kind of need to curtail a little bit.
Yeah.
But also for good GMs, this is another way to help kind of work with your players to kind of move the plot along. Like, hey, here's a super big hint. Go this direction.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that. Although I would feel like, at least this is me, when I do one-shots, I try really hard to, like, signpost the MacGuffin. So it's like, hey, if you don't know this is important, I'm telling you it's important. If for nothing else, then this is the only chance we're going to get to do this campaign.
But we've all been in that situation where, hey, here's the big thing, but everybody keeps looking that way.
Very fair. And Reap Psyche also makes some very good arguments, too. You can't shotgun theorize with the bonus. It's a social engineering feat. And that has raised a very interesting question, Reap, that I want to throw your way. I feel like these feats are designed for the metacognization of both understanding the game and understanding the GM. I feel like this is something that's a powerful tool, mostly in a very, very smart, for lack of a better word, but insightful player. And I would love to see the kind of social engineering that someone who can really utilize this can pull out of their ass. 'Cause quite frankly, I'm looking at it like it's mumbo jumbo, and I'm like, but yeah, if I'm a good GM, I would just give that information in an intelligently nuanced way.
Yeah, and for those who are watching this on our YouTube channel, drop a thing in the comments section telling us how you would utilize this feat. Oh, absolutely. And also one more thing.
Correct us if we're wrong.
I just want to say the meme version of this feat, when I saw it, was that meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie Day's character has that, that board with the in the mailroom.
Oh, yeah, what is it? Sonny Ortega or Chrissy Ortega or something?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to figure out where this mail goes to.
Or it's that, like, meme of the girl thinking about math and, like, looking off into the camera.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like and subscribe button, and also drop the bell, and correct us a million times in the dialogue, in the comments. I'll actually read it. I promise.
Yeah.
I like verbal and emotional abuse. I work customer retail service, so I like it. It's the best.
That's why he DMs. GMs.
It's the only power I get in my life. Anyway, that's tragically dark. Moving right along. Predictive purchase. I like this feat because this feat gives me 2 other feats. You get prescient planner and prescient consumable. When you use prescient planner, you can pull out an item as 2 actions activity to remove your backpack or a similar container and draw the item instead of taking 1 whole minute. So now if you want to actually switch up your inventory and items in combat, you have a way to do that. Or let's say you're in a chase scene or you're in some sort of scene where you have to move quickly. You can now pull whatever it is you need out in this scene really fast. Is it niche? Yes. Is it nice? Yeah, if you don't want to wait 10 rounds to do something, it's amazing.
You're kind of like, for those retro anime fans out there, you're kind of Doraemon. You have like a hammer space that you can pull out useful items from really quickly.
Yeah, it's like hammer space. I love that analogy. Thorough research, also available at level 6. When you succeed at recall knowledge check, which remember you can do a butt ton of times, you learn an additional fact about the subject. When you critically succeed at a recall knowledge check, you gain even more additional information or context than normal at the GM's discretion. And this, I can see this actually working with all levels of GMs. New, nice, crude, whatever, because worst case scenario, they make up something fun. And that's kind of nice. Now, granted, is it worth burning a feat for? Probably not, but it's still something that is either helpful, funny, whatever. You basically have unlocked new things, whether it's useful or not. You have unlocked hidden content.
Next up, we have Blind Fight, which is a level 8 feat. First, you have to have a Master in Perception. Your battle instincts make you more aware of concealed and invisible opponents. You don't need to succeed at a flat check to target concealed creatures. You're not flat-footed to creatures that are hidden from you, unless you're flat-footed to them for reasons other than hidden condition. And you need only a successful DC 5 flat check to target a hidden creature. While you're adjacent to a undetected creature of your level or lower, it is instead only hidden from you. So basically, you're Daredevil.
Yeah, pretty much. You're Daredevil once again, or you are any sort of monk trained in blind fighting. I love this because it actually has more of an impact. In the fact that you have to make a DC 5 flat check to target the hidden creature it's easy. You have it's easy-ish. You can still screw up, but you have like a 6-up chance. That's a 75% chance of being successful on this roll. And it's for free. You roll it for free before you hit the creature. So you're not losing any actions or turns. There's a large potential they're not going to get their one benefit against you because, let's be honest, if someone's trying to be invisible or hidden, that's the entirety of their game. And if you can pull that from them,
And honestly, invisible opponents, people who play tabletop games know that invisible opponents are a pain in the butt.
They're just as annoying as ghosts. I hate fighting ghosts.
Unless you're a cleric or a champion or a paladin.
Oh yeah, then it's amazing,
It's easy.
especially with the new oaths they gave us. Oh my god.
All right, next up we have Clue Them All In, which is a level 8 feat. You can clue all your allies at once when you use the Clue In reaction. Any of your allies who are attempting the same check to investigate a lead receive the circumstance bonus from Clue In. If you use this ability during an encounter, they must attempt their check within 1 round of when you clue them in.
So yeah, in that ability clue in, apparently I guess and this is probably our errata, it sounds like you could clue in everyone with one action. It looks like you can only clue in one person. This ability effectively makes this a team-wide bardic buff. So erotica, maybe. Nat20 after dark. No, that hasn't happened yet. So it looks like you can use this as a full wide bard ability, which is nice. Again, it's bard the easy way. So you can become a bard, you can become an alchemist, and you become a rogue. You can become the switchblade, the Swiss Army knife. The switchblade, Swiss blade.
It's after It's not after dark yet, PJ. It's not after dark yet.
That's right.
The
It's
sun's
only
still up.
It's only
There's
5:17
children
on the West
watching.
Coast. Are there children watching? Children, if you're watching, like and subscribe. Follow us on Nat20. Man, the coffee's hitting just right. The last ability for level 8 is Who Done It? I just love the name because A, it makes me giggle, and 2, it's this amazing part of the mystery solving culture. Once a day, so don't screw it up. When you pursue a lead, you can spend 10 minutes instead of 1 minute to ask 2 questions to the GM as you complete your activity. The GM must answer truthfully with yes or no, though if the answer would be misleading or have no practical application to your investigation, the GM can answer immaterial. You can use whodunit with a question mark more than once for the same lead, even across different days. Your questions must come in the following list, applying to either the creature or the clue that you found. Was the clue left by A, insert creature trait? Choose a creature trait as humanoid, undead, or dwarf. Why is dwarf different? That's so weird. This trait must be accurate as of the time of the clue was left. I'm sorry, it makes me laugh that like the creature can either be a human, undead, or a dwarf. But dwarfs are humanoid. That's just silly. Was the clue left within the last hour, last day? Was the creature that left the clue in a heightened emotional state when he left the clue? Did the creature attempt to conceal the clue? So you can give these questions out to your GM. They'll give you the survey back. And even though you can only do it once a day, that's once a game day. So you can literally just keep doing. No elves, huh? I guess elves aren't different enough. Friggin', I don't know. This is worded weirdly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun because I feel like this is the one ability that is there to mechanically fight like a good or bad GM in a way that actively makes sense across the entire GM gamut. Like there is no good or bad GM that this does not immediately benefit everyone at the table,
Yeah.
GMs and players included.
My favorite way to explain this feat is basically you turn your GM into a Ouija board.
Yeah, very much so. You can only ask it specific questions, yes, no, or immaterial. So it's really good. I also like all the people talking about this. Dwarves throwing some curveballs. I think some stone curveballs. That's what I think. And Mr. Mihara, you're not 12. Your son is 12. You lie. You lie like a rug. Coffee's making me really silly. I think Rufa should do the first 10th level class feat.
All right. The next one is, I like this one because if you're a fan of the Jackie Chan adventures, you'll know why I like the name of the next one. Just one more thing. The requirements on this for this level 10 feat is your most recent action was to feint, request, or demoralize, and you failed that and didn't critically hit. After your attempt to influence someone goes poorly, you add another bit of information and ask a pointed question, possibly salvaging your previous attempt. Re-roll the fail check and use the new result. If the target of the fail check is the subject of a lead you're pursuing, double your bonus from pursue a lead on the re-roll check. That creature is temporarily immune to just one more thing for 1 day. You can also use this action if you failed, but didn't critically fail, at a check to lie, gather information, make an impression, or coerce. In this case, rather than spending one action, adding just one more thing makes you takes you half the amount of time you initially spent on the check to a minimum of one more round. So pretty much this gives you a built-in inspiration token that you could do a reroll on.
Absolutely. And like how many times have we rolled high on something that was needed to roll high on something that was very important and we botched it on the show. You'll see us use a hero point. This is a free hero point, and you can use it, I think, like every other round to make sure that you can kind of recover. So it's really brilliant, especially if you know you roll like garbage. The next one, ongoing strategy. Prerequisites, strategic strike, so you know it's going to be damage. Let's see here. On a strike for which you didn't devise a stratagem, you can still deal precision damage equal to the number of strategic strike damage dice, so long as the weapon or unarmed attack you use is one that would have let you use your intelligence modifier. Holy crap. So let's say you forget to declare devise a stratagem and you attack anyway, or you attack first, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oopsie daisy, I didn't do the big thing. You still benefit. You hit so smart all the time now, just at different levels. I love this because sometimes you get lazy and you forget, or sometimes you just can't use the ability. Maybe the action economy
things
isn't
are
there.
just going on, so many things going on, and once you kind of, things just get forgotten in the mix.
Yeah. Like I said, like what if you spend 2 actions to drink an alchemical potion you've made for yourself that has buffed you. Maybe it buffs your intelligence to a crazy degree. And then you're like, oh crap, I did not declare this thing my target of my lead. So for me to do a devised stratagem against this guy would mean that I can't attack. I've popped this potion, 2 actions for that, but now I can't do devise a stratagem. Ha ha ha! I still get something, and so now you have that one last action in your turn economy. You can pop the potion, hit them, and still get a number of bonus damage equal to the amount of dice you would deal. So it's flat damage, not high, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. Suspect of opportunity, once per hour as a reaction. Michael, do you want to take that away?
sure. It's a level 10 feat. As PJ said, frequency is once per hour. The trigger is a foe must take a hostile action against you in combat, which, yeah, that's typically what they do. Sometimes something intrudes upon your case unexpectedly, such as an ambush sent to bring your investigation to a close. You've learned how to compartmentalize your main lead and pursue a new one for your current predicament. You pursue a lead against a triggering foe, setting aside but not ending one of your currently active leads if you have 2 leads. At the end of combat encounter, you stop pursuing the lead against the triggering foe and return to the original lead if you have one.
That's awesome. That's a great reaction because that means, like, let's say you're carrying these 2 heavy leads for plot purposes, but now for the sake of battle mechanics and needing to hurt someone that much harder, you can, as a reaction, mark them as your target and drop only like one of your leads temporarily, enough that you can kill this guy in combat, kill this target in combat, and then go back to your lead later. That is a great battle flexible investigator feat right there. Number 12. We're almost done with this deep dive. Thank you so much for being patient, y'all. Foresee danger. You perceive, it's a reaction. Creature attacks you, and you can see the attacker. The trigger attack rolls targets your perception DC instead of your AC. Remember, these guys can have legendary perception bonuses.
I want this.
Which means that your armor class, as a reaction, it's whatever your perception bonus would be. So you could have a plus 27. You could have literally an armor of 37 at end game because of this feat at level 12. That is stupid. Though this allows you to avoid taking penalties to your armor class, it doesn't remove any conditions or other effects causing such penalties. For example, an enemy with sneak attack would still deal extra damage to you for being flat-footed, even though you wouldn't take the -2 circumstance penalty. Okay, I challenge any rogue builder. Build a rogue that can sneak attack and hit someone with 37 armor class. Or at least at level 12, it would be something equally stupid. But I challenge you. I want to hear... okay, that does not put any fear in my heart, knowing that this investigator now has an AC of 10 plus their perception check. That's stupid.
Yeah, this is one of the feats that I'm thinking of working towards. Once again, this will definitely it will take me from a mid-range combat crowd control character to just, you know what, I'm going to just strut into the middle of melee and just start wailing.
Now here's where the sales kind of lose a bit of a wind. It's a reaction, which means it can only happen once. But still, for one hit, you have like a 37 armor class. Come at me, bro.
Pretty much.
Reason rapidly. That's the next one. Not as sexy and exciting as foresee danger, but reason rapidly. It's a one-action ability, which tells me this can happen in combat or in a scene that requires quick movement. You can recall 5 things. Normally, you can only recall 1, maybe 2. Now, in a matter of one action, you can recall 5 action knowledge things. If you have any special abilities or free actions that would normally be triggered when you recall knowledge, you cannot use them. So this is great if, like, let's say they're doing a scene where maybe they have to make a passion plea to the Senate floor in Edge of Legends, or they're doing some sort of lawyer episode, which I'm not opposed to. I think that sounds kind of fun. In the moment of one, like before Rufus is about to do a questioning on the witness, he can recall 5 bits of knowledge before asking one question. Now, granted, he can't spark any special abilities from that, but this is massively helpful for roleplay. Massively.
And honestly, also another thing about this is, like I said, it's 5 knowledge rolls at once, so you're definitely going to get something out of that. And also, I'm looking at this feat. There's no limit. You just once per round. Hell, I can use this like all 3 actions to reason rapidly, I think.
Yeah, you can use all 3 actions as part of the roleplay scene to do that. Now, granted, you wouldn't be able to do anything with that knowledge, but you'd have a ton of knowledge.
But think about this: 15 rolls at once. Tell me, not one of them is going to be. It's a high probability that at least a couple of those rolls are going to end up being a 20.
Probably. I mean, it's not even just the rolls. You just get to have 5. Okay, I guess the actions would be the rolls, but even still, it's 5 chunks of information per use. Rip Psyche put in the chat. I have a friend who played a paladin who rolled 47s to hit at level 15. I feel that in my soul, Rip Psyche, because at level 10, and Ian will tell you more about this. I had a Blood Rager Barbarian who at level 10 had a plus 31 to his intimidation, and I believe a plus 27 to hit with his one of 3 melee strikes around. So, yeah, I love Pathfinder. It gets stupid, and I love it. Okay, so next up, 14th level, Plot the Future. So let's see. You spend 10 minutes in contemplation to uncannily predict how events will play out. Choose a particular goal or activity that you plan to engage in within 1 week, or an event that you expect might happen within 1 week. You analyze whether it's likely to come to pass, learning whether it's highly likely, somewhat unlikely, or highly unlikely. You also gain a piece of advice suggesting a course of action for you and your allies, which could take that and make it even more likely to happen or less likely so. The GM determines the likeliness. Okay, another opportunity where these things become massive divination spellcasters.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of these uncommon feats are kind of built towards you kind of got to work with your GM, right?
Yeah. Now, it's nice for players, like especially if they want to try and really invest in some big action. This is going to tell you if it's going to work or not, how to make it work. But again, the GM has to, okay, like you need this to do anything, so here you go. Or I don't want to give you too much stuff. I believe in you.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's kind of like, it's honestly, I want to say it's a little bit also kind of like a devised stratagem. Instead of in combat, you roll, you predict your rolls and stuff like that. With this, you kind of predict your entire next session, honestly.
Yeah, sometimes you can even predict the entire session you're about to have, depending on how you do it. So next one,
it's like a divination ability. It's a divination ability.
Yeah, except it's just natural. It doesn't take any magic, so you can be an alchemist and not waste any magic on this. Sense the unseen. So let's say you don't want to plot the future. Let's say you just don't like failing. And who likes failing? No one. That's who. You don't like failing. So at level 14, you can also choose Sense the Unseen. It's a reaction to basically you botch a check to seek something. You're seeking something out. Well, then you say, oh, I failed. No, I didn't. I detected anyway. That's exactly how this works. You
It's a
automatically
nuh-uh.
sense. Yeah, you automatically detect any. You automatically sense any undetected creatures in the area while you are seeking, making them only hidden to you. So you know they're there. You just can't see them. What? Strategic bypass, also at 14. You can choose which one of these you want. When you hit a strike on which you substitute your attack roll due to devising a stratagem, you ignore an amount of resistance equal to your intelligence modifier for each resistance that applies against your attack.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Wow.
lo-
This
lo-
whew,
what? What?
this is for your combat investigators, man.
Yeah, this could kill probably most barbarians because they're like, oh, when I rage, I get like a DR my level, and you're like, no, you don't. Whip, you get less. That's insane.
Yeah, like
Level 16.
it's like screw your resistance. I don't
Mhm.
care.
Yeah, I have the high ground. You have no ground. Haha. Oh, high ground. I hate that meme. Okay. 16th level. Didactic strike. Do you want to take it away there, Mr. Michael Powell?
Okay, sure. It's a level 16 feat. You have to have shared stratagem first. When you find a glaring weakness, you can set your allies up to annihilate your foes. When you use shared stratagem, you can designate up to 10 allies instead of just one. Oh, dang. The foe is flat-footed against the first attack from each designated ally before your next turn, and each ally's first attack deals an extra 2d6 precision damage to a target if it hits. I'm taking this feat at level 16.
This is better than most bards. Oh my god. So
Like,
so
wow,
oh,
I can make 10 allies. Pretty much
and
buff them up where they get 2d6 precision damage, which I think precision damage is doubled at a critical.
I mean, I have to double check. I don't believe so. I believe precision dice is added after the other dice are doubled. But regardless of that, regardless of all that, you still have to consider the fact that everyone is flat-footed. So if there's a character that gets sneak attack dice against a target, they're getting their normal damage, their sneak attack damage, and still an added 2d6 to all of that. This is
So
a crazy
let's
buff.
just say Rufa does that to a character, and one of the allies he buffs is Shonibus.
Mhm.
And Shonibus, not only is it Shonibus, she also has a legion of archers behind her as well.
Ugh.
It's like it's like that scene in 300. The wall will block the sun with all the arrows.
Yeah, then we were dying in the shade. It is insane. And this is didactic strike. My God. Yeah. Make a note of that. If you want to make your investigator OP for any team at 16 and above, that's the way
This
to
is a
go.
teamwork feat right here.
Yeah, I think that takes the award for best feat at 16. Let's see if Implausible Purchase can compare.
Oh,
So you have to hit.
Reap Psyche is asking, do they get the bonus for the round or just for the single attack?
Good question. It says here, the foe is flat-footed against the first attack from each designated ally before your next turn. And each ally's first attack deals an extra 2d6 precision damage. So it appears that this ability mostly lasts for the round. However, you can do it again next round for like one action cost.
Mm-hmm.
You can continuously apply that so long as you're balancing your economy, your three-piece action choices. You can keep this buff going indefinitely.
Yeah, and also keep this in mind. Investigator perception, super high. So if that's used as initiative, they're already going first.
Mm-hmm. So you have the bonus for the first attack, which makes them flat-footed. And then each ally's... Okay, so thank you, Rip Psyche. I think I see some of the language that I'm confusing myself. So yes, it is... The buff lasts for one round, but it applies to the first attack that hits, which is still gorgeous because your target's flat-footed, which means they have less AC, you have more to hit, and on top of that, you're doing an extra 2d6 damage. So your likelihood of having the first attack hit is pretty darn good.
Yeah, an investigator is basically a general of an army at this point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is this buff is better than anything the Marshal has. The Marshal's just like, you get a +3 damage. Yay.
This one is, you get 2d6 precision damage, and they're flat-footed against ya.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is if surprise punch in the face. On my face. Yeah, no, that is I think the thickest, the dummiest, thickest buff I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to work towards that one, I think.
Oh my god, yeah. You just have to get the shared stratagem earlier, which is already a good ability.
Yeah.
So implausible purchase. This probably isn't nearly as sexy, but let's see what we got. It seems impossible, but you've analyzed every angle and are able to just keep pulling out exactly the item you need, even in far-flung locations. You can use prescient planner, whatever, even if you already have used it after purchasing goods, and you can use it as a single action instead of a two-action activity during which you interact to draw the item. In addition, 5 times per day, you can use prescient planner to pull out a common consumable item up to 6 levels lower than your level. This is cute. This is nice. Unless that item is some super clutch item, this is going to be nice. Maybe throwing a potion someone's way. I don't see this being as nearly broken as,
honestly, you're
as
doubling
10 allies.
down on being Doriamon with your hammer space. You know?
Yeah.
And honestly, this can actually be useful in situations where, oh man, I didn't know this, but we're up against, I don't know, werewolves, and we need like silver tip arrows. But you know what? I thought about this, and I just happen to have some silver tip arrows in my backpack. Here you go.
Yeah, as I'm saying, it's gorgeously, very usefully niche, and that nicheness is both a blessing and a curse to me. Didactic Strike so far, still best feat of level 16. Reconstruct the scene. You spend 1 minute surveying a small location, such as a single room, to get an impression of the events that occurred there last day. Skip ahead. You get an indistinct mental impression of the significant events that happened there. This gives you clues and details of the past, including the overall events and their time frame, but it's not a perfect record. This also isn't enough to identify who was involved in these events if you weren't already aware the person was there. As determined by the GM, you also pick out various seemingly small details that could serve as important clues, like a memorable weapon that someone used for a murder, or the type of cloak someone wore when passing through. This is kind of like, again, this is another one of those divination style, like omniscient spells that you just get because you're a smart guy. Smart.
Yeah.
You're smart. And it's nice. Is it as broken for combat as Didactic Strike? Not even close. It's definitely cool for like an investigation-heavy murder mystery campaign. It's very cool for that. God damn, I'm sorry. I'm still just in love with Didactic Strike. What the hell? Ugh.
All right.
Ugh. Anyway,
next up, we have
level.
Lead Investigator, which is a level 18 feat. You need to have clue them all in before you could be able to take this. You spend 1 minute briefing up to 4 allies about one lead you're pursuing. These allies gain the same circumstance bonus from pursuit of lead to checks to investigate the lead. This bonus lasts until you cease pursuing that lead or 1 day, whichever comes first. This doesn't confer any other benefits to pursuing a lead, such as adding to the circumstance bonus of your saves with the detective's readiness.
That's interesting. So it's like you give your whole group the buff for, you give your whole group basically a very, very long-lasting buff. However, it's still kind of limited. They just get the +1 or +2. They get it all day, so long as it's in regards to the thing you're looking after. That can be nice. However, it does limit the benefits that you, the investigator, can pull from this. So I don't know. It's a give or take. It's a bit of a risk-averse reward there. Mm-hmm. Trickster's Ace. So there's only 2 feats at level 18. This is the second one. It's a reaction. You specify the trigger when you make your daily preparations. So, okay, that's weird. So you have to specify what is going to trigger this ability. Requirements. When you make your daily preparations, you must specify a trigger for the reaction using the same restrictions as the triggers for the ready action. You also choose a single spell from the... A single spell from the Arcane Device divine, occult, or primal list, 4th level or lower. The spell cannot have a cost, nor can its casting time be more than 10 minutes. The spell must be able to target a single creature, and you must be a valid target for it. Whether you jury-rig magic items, deduction from the study of magical interactions, or other means, you have a contingency in your back pocket for desperate situations. When the trigger occurs, you cause the spell to come into effect. The spell targets only you, no matter how many creatures it would affect normally. If you define particularly complicated conditions, as determined by the GM, the trigger might fail. Once the contingency is triggered, the spell is expended until your next preparations. You get a free reaction spell, 4th level or lower. This is really awesome and also really confusing because you have to make it like very specific for what triggers this. Now, you could say, I'm going to put a spell of teleportation on me. So the minute I get critically hit by someone, I'm going to teleport way the hell away from that critical hit. And that becomes a smart application of that spell. But it could be anything.
Yeah, you're essentially, you have a insurance against when things go sideways, you know? Like a just in case, like, you know what? Just in case if something goes wrong, I have this in my back pocket. Or you could have something where say something's going wrong and you need that one super important clue or something to pop up. That's what you have Trickster's Ace.
Yeah, and Reap Psyche made a good point. There hasn't been the spell contingency or the ability of contingency in years. And this is kind of that. This lets you, like Batman, you have a contingency for it.
Yeah, you have a backup plan for any type of situation.
Yeah. And let's see, Reap Psyche continues on, playing Baldur's Gate 2 on stream recently, and every damn mage ever has like 4 defensive spells on contingency. I mean, if you can, it's smart planning. I think in other editions, because it was so overpowered, they did their best to make sure it was almost impossible to have a contingency spell. Excuse me, the coffee is giving me burps. However, then 5th edition came out with Counterspell, which I hate Counterspell. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I hate it. I hate it as a GM and I hate it as a player. It's too good and it's so frustrating, especially at like end level fights where the only thing you're fighting is like god level spellcasters who are just gonna be throwing spells at people, and then you're just gonna be like, nope, nah, not gonna happen. Nope, goodbye, and it shuts down everything. Anyway. Moving right along, because we're now at the final countdown, the creme de la creme, the capstone, level 20 investigator feats.
The next one is basically, I like to call this the conspiracy theorist feat. Do you want to have a go with it, or do you want me to?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, Reap Psyche says at least older counterspell required you to have the spell memorized to counter it. Yeah, and then they just made it completely lazy. You could just counterspell anything. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna get off my salty soapbox. I'll say this. I'll do this one in a creepy voice too. Everyone's a suspect. You are so suspicious of everyone that you keep mental notes on how to defeat them all, even your own allies. After interacting with a creature for at least 1 minute, you automatically pursue a lead with the creature as the subject. You can have any number of such leads at any given time, and when you pursue a lead again, you don't give up any of these automatic leads. Yeah, I was just going to say that, Reap Psyche. You become literally Batman. You make a contingency plan for everyone. My God. So, that's the Batman feat. If you want to be Batman, you have effectively an infinite number of leads, which, as we know from reading 1 to 20, the leads are the humongous crux of this class. And now, whether they are friend or foe or nothing at all, you now have effectively an infinite number of leads. My God.
Yeah, you have a plan to take out anybody and everyone, as long as you talk to them for like about a minute.
Yeah, and you get all the benefits. It doesn't say there's any limitations. So you have infinite number of leads that you can now get any benefit you have to pursue the lead ability. And if you have the didactic strike and the shared stratagem, you could now grant an infinite number of lead bonuses to up to 10 allies. That is a disgusting combination right there.
I'm wondering if Rufus should take this one or the next one as his capstone feat.
Oof, I don't know. It's rough. Read the last one. Read the very last feat.
All right. The next one is the NYPD Blue feat. The level 20 feat, that's called Just the Facts. You have to have thorough research first, though. You fundamentally understand everything to the point where your research can't possibly be wrong. You are permanently quickened and can use the extra action to recall knowledge. Your checks to recall knowledge are no longer secret. When you recall knowledge, you use the outcome for the degree of success rather than the result of your check, and if an effect such as dubious knowledge would give you an inaccurate information from your recall knowledge check, you know which information is inadequate. When one of your allies recalls knowledge and gains the information, you also know that information is inadequate if they share it with you.
Yeah, so remember how at level 19 we said that there's the I win button, right? You just smack that button, you're like, I win. Just the facts now, part of that level 19 feature, now means that even if I'm lying to you, I have to tell you as a GM I'm lying to you. There's if you combine just the facts with the level 19 feature, the game is done. You win the game. And even if other people walk up to you and they're like, so by the way, we split the party, this is what I got. And then you can be like, no, that's all wrong. The answer is this. And now we're just going to go straight to the next plot hook. It's the most meta combo, the most meta breaking combo I've ever seen.
You're basically Columbo here. You're Columbo.
So level 20, you either take everyone's a suspect and you buff your in-battle capabilities to literally the nth degree. There is no limitation to how many leads you can take and how many leads that you can gain benefit. Well, okay, so it's limited to up to 10 allies with Didactic Strike, but still, there's no limitation to your leads. Infinite leads for everyone. You get a lead, everyone gets a lead. Now just the facts makes it so that maybe in combat you're not a god, but when it comes to the actual plot and RP, you're infallible. Like you're gonna just get the answers and you're just gonna. And again, this is not negative. It may be unfortunate for the GM. It's
literally
amazing.
When this happens, I get to stand behind you and read all your notes and everything you have behind the screen.
Yeah, or like we're gonna be on a game and like someone's gonna come up to you and go like, oh well, we found out like it was so and so, and you're just gonna look to me on your camera and go, was it PJ? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I get a cheat sheet.
You get the GM in your back pocket.
Dude, both of these capstone feats are insane. Also, especially when they combine with the other feats or with Master Detective, their capstone.
Absolutely. So that has been the Investigator class. Truly, and especially considering what this was in the beta test, it is a much stronger class now. It is strong in both meta and non-meta ways. So if you want to play someone who's too smart for their own good, has maybe not the greatest, but still a very viable combat option, Rip Psyche, that class is insane. Yeah. It really is. So I think we're going to be drawing down here on this. Hope you like
really
this
quick,
deep
I want to say, Investigator, this is a class you want to take if you like to have options.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we discussed that this one class, without multi-classing, without doing anything else, this one class can actually be a full investigator, part-time alchemist, part-time bard, with a little bit of rogue. You can literally be all four of these things with no detriment or no shifting of your main core mechanics. You don't have to take any multi-class feats. You still can if you want to. By the way,
it can be fun.
Absolutely. You could have alchemical spells and then multi-class into bard and get bard spells and still get your other buff abilities and your other alchemy. This thing is a Swiss Army knife. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I hope you like the deep dive, everyone. Because we have Rufa here, we had to go into a deep dive of Investigator, and hopefully we can figure out what level 2 feat he's going to get, and hopefully he's taking notes in that build for down the road, because the didactic strike, holy crap. Yeah, and next time we see you guys, there's going to be a bit more time put away for character creation, because I absolutely love character creating with you guys. If you have any ideas for character NPCs that you want to share with us, we couldn't get to it today. Like I said, please go on our Twitter, Nat20 Productions Official. Please go to YouTube when the page is posted and put it in the YouTube comments. Please go to our Facebook page. Again, Nat20 Productions Official. We will see them. We love them. And the next show, we'll try to cut out 30 minutes to an hour to either discuss the ones that we found before going live or to discuss the ones that you put in the chat last minute. And we will see you next week. So thank you so much for sitting down and pulling out your chair and picking up your books and joining us at the table. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, pulling up your chair, taking out your books, and joining us at the table as we discussed the amazingly flexible Investigator. One part Sherlock Holmes, one part alchemist, one part bard, one part rogue. You can't go wrong. And look at that amazing shirt, Sherlock Holmes in the house. So without further ado, Michael Powell, tell us who you are and where we can find you in the sweet, sweet internets and anything else coming up for you.
Well, you can find me all over the internet, such as my Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, which are all at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. And also my Facebook is basically my hub where you can find all the stuff that I do, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell does stuff, because I do a lot of stuff. Oh, and next week, yeah, more likely not next week, I will be finally launching my big project. Super looking forward and excited about that. So yeah, PJ, how about you?
Can't wait to hear more about it. Well, my name is PJ. You can find me everywhere on the internet at pj.mcgaw or some crazy variation thereof. When I'm not here, I'm working on Edge of Legend every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Nat20 Productions Official. Also, I have a really exciting news. Next Friday, we're going to start the sequel to Arcana High called Secret, C-C-R-I-T. I'll be bringing back my half-elf bard with the silver hair and the silver tongue. I'm looking forward to any misadventures that would happen in college. So please, if you want to see not only the show on Wednesdays, but this new crazy show on Fridays, come check out the Crazy Friday show at Life Action Roleplay. You'll get to see me do my thing with elf ears on. So thank you very much for joining us. I can't wait for next week. I'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.